You know, Tom was telling a funny story just sort of about him holding a little machine in a hotel, and I learned, interesting enough, I've been in the industry 25 years, but I learned an enormous amount from a gentleman who learned a completely different way. He built his multi-million-dollar empire. He started with a company that many of you have heard of called Herbalife, but at the time he enrolled, Herbalife had 400,000 people in the system. So he joined, there's already 400,000. And literally within about 18 months of him joining, he went from 400,000 to 40. It's pretty good if you've never done that before either. And what's interesting about his story, and this is the beauty of just your will, the will to win, is his story was he had no money, he had no phone. And so what he did is he created a bunch of flyers on paper, and he ran around the city and he handed out flyers and he posted up a bunch of flyers, and he had somebody put up money for an ad to a phone number. And the phone number back then was a phone booth. And he didn't have a phone. And back then, you know, the incoming calls to the phone booth. Today, I don't think you can do incoming calls to most phone booths, but at that point you could. So he parked his beat up Volkswagen Bug right next to a phone book with a beach chair. And when people would call him, he'd like, yeah, Clay Jackson Enterprises, and he would do his thing. And then he would say, you know, he would interview people. He'd say, so what are you looking for? And he would actually interview them like they were interested in a job. And he says, okay, well then, you know, I'll meet you at the Beverly Wilshire Hotel. And he had literally his beat up car, and he'd drive and just park it down the street because he couldn't afford valet parking. And he'd just meet people in the lobby of the Beverly Wilshire Hotel and tell them a story. And literally he almost lived out of his car, and he had no phone. He worked on a phone booth. And he went on and made, and to this day, he's made millions and millions of dollars, and a very, very dear friend. But he taught me a lot back then about just sort of, it really doesn't matter. The point is, you're the messenger, not the message. And so all you're trying to do is tell a story to people, and those that are interested will see it. And then just sort of the law of averages works for you. To make things matters even worse, and the reason I'm starting off with this is a really interesting just sort of comment that Tom made me think about him immediately, was this person, if you met him or had dinner with him at any given time, he's actually a fairly abrupt, fairly rude, doesn't take very good care of himself, never has socks, you know, sort of like that, they're barefoot, sort of wears business shoes, but tattered business shoes kind of guy, and he'll eat off your plate. He'll grab a fork and you're gonna eat that, and he'll grab it right off your plate. I mean, he has no problem whatsoever, and he's just absolutely rude, and his whole concept really is law of averages. It's just the law of averages. And so one way or another, he's gone on and made millions and millions of dollars by actually being abrupt and rude and not very clean, and but he understands numbers, okay? So that's an interesting setup for him I'm going to share with you about, to let you know that you're all far more talented than he is, you're all far cleaner than he is, I'm sure you're probably not going to eat off my plate, and that gives you the opportunity that you could go on and start today and be the top earner of the company. In fact, the top earner here at GeneWise hasn't even enrolled yet. I'm pretty confident of that. And maybe one of you will go on and be one of the top earners in the next 3 months or 6 months, and that's possible. But it's pretty likely that the top person in GeneWise Life Sciences over the next 4 or 5 years will join sometime next year. And that would just be my experience over 25 years. And I've been doing this 25 years. I've done over $1 billion in sales as a distributor or affiliate or representative, whatever you want to call it. Just picking up the phone. I've worked at home and always worked at home with the phone. I never had an office, and really have figured out a way to sort of connect with people and build sort of a worldwide enterprise with that experience. And it's my experience that the top earners typically start the year after the company launches. And the reason that happens is because the first 3 months or 6 months or 9 months of a company, they're trying to figure out who they are. And they're trying to determine what systems work. And so those people that are pioneers that have the guts to get out there and give things a try are sort of figuring it out for the hundreds of thousands of people that will join the next couple of years. And so there are people that joined us before we launched, and we clearly told everybody, you're pioneers. Eric, you were there, and Tom, and some others were. It's like, Fred, you were there. Good to see you. And it was just like people at the very beginning, we said, it's going to be tough because we have no videos, we have no product stories. Nobody has the product. They joined on blind faith. Nobody had even tried the product. There was no assessments to look at. There was no website. There was nothing. It was just an image and a vision. So that's tough. That's pretty hard to get started and start telling a story. It takes courage every single day to tell that story, because you're going to deal with a whole lot more objections then than you will now. Now, what's interesting about now is 4, 5, 6 months later, we have the answers to 400 questions. Right back then, we didn't have FAQs. You were the FAQs, and we had to develop those along the way. Today, we have 400 FAQs, so the answers are primarily there, and we cover 98% of anything anybody would really ask. And so it makes it a little easier. We have videos, we have testimonials, we have scientists on staff. We've paid out a couple $1 million in commission checks, which is great. We have 1,000 people earning free product. We have 10, 15,000 people on the product. So we have proof of concept that you can take to the marketplace. Well, what's nice is over the course of the next 6 months, early spring, probably after our next event, I would guess that our top affiliate will be somebody you invite to the February event. I mean, really, if you were to challenge yourself, you'll probably bring somebody on that attends the February event that absolutely has the contacts, the motivation, the desire, and the discipline to take the thing on, and we'll bring on 100,000 people in their first year, and that's just what will happen for them, and it could happen for you. And that's because all the pieces of the puzzle are in place. If you can imagine, fast forward 90, 120 days, all of a sudden we've got that many more stories. We've paid out a couple $1 million more in business in commissions, which is exciting. We also have maybe 4,000 or 5,000 people getting free product, which is exciting. We've got our scientists, we've got a bunch of new tools. We've just really made it a push-play opportunity. And it's been the goal of the company for you to have a push-play opportunity. So what I'm going to share with you over the next few minutes is I'm going to share with you sort of what to do, what to say, what to expect, and sort of what to teach. And Tom's a phenomenal trainer and a leader, and I'm going to share with you a little bit from my perspective of what I think could accelerate your business. Anybody interested?
Yeah.
Okay, good.